Grab a pint, grab your lineup. We're about to tap into fantasy. Welcome back to Tap Into Fantasy, the podcast with a professional fantasy mind and an amateur beer palate. I'm Gandy. You can find me on X at LG_fantasy. So this is the episode where we hand out worry ratings like Halloween candy because some of the Week 2's biggest fantasy names officially face-planted. I'll go through most fantasy-relevant busts from Week 2 and let you know whether you should laugh it off, panic sell, or start sharpening that waiver wire axe. Then we'll shift gears to Thursday night's Dolphins-Bills matchup and break down every player that could swing your week before Sunday even kicks off. No beer review today unless you count whatever you cracked open to cope with Week 2's disasters. Let us toast to our good fantasy health. May the best drafts of your past be the worst of your future. Let's tap in. Okay, so throughout the NFL season, I'll have shorter shows on Tuesday, going over the busts from the previous week and the Thursday night game, then another longer episode on Friday with a full beer review and going over some players I like and don't like from each position that week. Before we jump into the next part, go ahead and hit subscribe, because unlike your fantasy lineup, this podcast actually shows up every week. Okay, let's move on to the busts that fell apart quicker than your diet after seeing free pizza. Should you panic? This is Quick Hitters.
Quick Hitters.
First up, Michael Penix Jr. My worry rating is a 2 out of 10. It's a little concerning that Penix's average depth of throw went from over 10 yards last year to under 7 this year. I'm not sure if that's the game plan or just quick pressures making him check it down more often. I'm not too worried about this game script happening often, though. The defense has improved, but not to this degree. J.J. McCarthy. Worry rating 7 out of 10. Obviously, he had a high ankle sprain and could be out a few weeks, so that is concerning. The offensive line is down to the third left tackle and backup center, and even when they were they were getting smashed by a mid-Atlanta pass rush. McCarthy wasn't helping them at all, though, as his time to throw this year has been 3 seconds. That's just in front of the QB with the longest, and Justin Fields, who's notorious for this and is also much more athletic and is also highly susceptible to sacks. So he's safely off the fantasy radar when he returns. Geno Smith, worry rating 3 out of 10. This Chargers defense is legit, so I'm not that worried. Geno is just a nice 2 QB play against lesser defenses. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, worry rating 4 out of 10. Yes, he should see a few more snaps with the Eckler injury, but it's still just going to be a three-headed monster with McNichols and Rodriguez. Bill doesn't play enough passing downs to be anything more than a flex play, and he needs the right game script to even be relevant. Jaden Daniels' knee injury could also limit the offense's effectiveness. Derrick Henry, worry rating 3 out of 10. So this Cleveland defense is legit, so I'm not worried about his rushing most weeks, but it just shows, if he's stopped on the ground, he's basically a 0. He's never been a big receiving threat, but he now only has 1 target in 2 games. Against tough run defenses, you should definitely lower expectations, but he's obviously always going to be a start. Isaiah Pacheco, worry rating 7 out of 10. So I'm still holding a candle lit for Pacheco to take over the backfield at some point, but this whole team is just uninspiring. They can't run the ball with anyone except Patty Mahomes. He at least had some better usage in week 2 with 10 rushes and 2 targets, but he's still almost 50-50 with Hunt. Most weeks he's unplayable for now, but against this nasty Giants D in week 3, he could be a borderline flex play. Travion Henderson, worry rating 6 out of 10. Ramondre Stevenson was doing the exact thing you drafted Henderson to do. They just don't trust Henderson as much as Stevenson right now, especially after he had a few bad pass pro reps this game. Stevenson also just kind of turned back time and looked really good on his touches, so he probably bought himself another month plus of this sort of split. Like the game script could definitely have something to do with that split they had, as they were up basically all of the game. But Henderson's tough to trust, even as a flex right now. Brees Hall, worry rating 4 out of 10. So Hall's snap share actually went up this week, but the offense was a no-show against the Bills until Tyrod Taylor had a garbage time touchdown in the fourth. Like, I'm not worried about Brees. He's looked really good. I'm just worried about the offense, as this is kind of more of what I was expecting coming into the year. Like, the Bills probably aren't a top 10 defense, so it's super concerning that they can bottle them up like this. Zach Charbonnet, worry rating 4 out of 10. So Charbonnet still outsnapped Walker 36 to 23 in this game, but I mean, it was basically just his time to run into a brick wall. Like, I'm going to be ranking Walker higher every week just because he's more explosive, he's more involved in the passing game. But Charbonnet could eke out some flex play. I mean, he just hasn't looked very good so far. Like, he's last in the NFL in rushing yards over expected per attempt. That is concerning. This episode is powered by Dubby Energy. It's my go-to for a clean boost with zero crash and zero jitters, whether I'm grinding out drafts or just need that mid-afternoon push. No junk, no guilt, just focus. Hit the link in the description and use promo code TAPINTOFANTASY for 10% off. Dubby brings the energy. You bring the winning picks. RJ Harvey, worry rating 8 out of 10. So it's bad news for Harvey owners that Dobbins looked good in the lead role, and Tyler Bidet is now in on a lot of the passing downs as well. Like, he only had 5 rushes and 2 targets. So basically, Sean Payton is a lying liar, gushing about him in the offseason. Like, Harvey isn't startable for now with his kind of usage, especially against the Chargers in week 3. That's a legit defense. Jordan Mason, worry rating 1 out of 10. I'm actually even more bullish on Mason. He still outsnapped Aaron Jones in a trailing game script and even had 3 targets. Like, this offense isn't going to be as good as last year, obviously, but I mean, with McCarthy's struggles and injury, they're going to want to run the ball even more. And now McCarthy's hurt, so I mean, the run game is what they have on offense. And it now looks like Jones is missing multiple weeks, so it's going to be wheels up for Mason against the Bengals in week 3. Chase Brown, worry rating 6 out of 10. So Brown's looked awful rushing the ball through the first 2 games. Like, some guys with low yards per carry, you can chalk it up to some bad early season O-line play. But Chase Brown has just been bad in yards before contact at 1.8 per attempt and in yards after contact at 0.7 per attempt. That's an awful combo. Now he goes up against Minnesota, Denver, and Detroit with a backup quarterback the next 3 games. He's a low-end RB2 at best the next few games. Tyrone Tracy, worry rating 8 out of 10. So snaps shifted significantly in favor of Cam Scatterbo this week. Tracy's been one of the worst runners in the league so far, so it just seems like he's fallen out of favor. Like, he's now only a low-end flex play in PPR leagues only. AJ Brown, worry rating 8 out of 10. So yeah, it's panic time now. The Eagles basically want to win the game on the least amount of pass volume as possible, just choking the game out in the second half. Like, I thought this game was going to be the right script for Brown to go off, but now I'm not sure when that'll be. Like, it's going to be a few boom games and a lot of misery this year for Brown owners. Marvin Harrison Jr. Worry rating 4 out of 10. So this is just how it's going to be with Harrison when they use him like this. They did absolutely nothing to add to the offense this offseason, so they have to use Harrison the same way they did last year. He's a full-time X receiver running the hardest routes deep down the field, and Kyler has the third lowest average depth of target at 6.04. Like per reception perception, Harrison ran an end breaker on 64.7% of his routes in week 1. Kyler doesn't have x-ray vision to see through the butts of his offensive linemen, so he just doesn't use that part of the field. Like the target earner on this team is Trey McBride. Harrison is just a boom bust low-end wide receiver 2 or high-end wide receiver 3. Drake London, worry rating 2 out of 10. I'm not worried about him. It was a game script that isn't going to happen much to this team. Like they were in the lead, Minnesota's offense looked lost, and the Falcons' run game was basically unstoppable. Look for him to do London things against Carolina in Week 3. Matthew Golden, worry rating 5 out of 10. So yeah, I am worried long term about how they're using him. He's just been a deep specialist. He has over a 22-yard average depth of target and an 8% target share. Like that depth of target trails Dante Thornton and Tyquan Thornton. That's it. Those are two burners who are just used to take the top off the defense. So maybe he settles into a better role with Jaden Reed on IR, but this team just likes to spread the ball around. Like keep him on the bench till he proves it. Rashad Bateman, worry rating 6 out of 10. So Bateman was really never going to be startable in fantasy without some injuries in front of him. Like he's around a 15 to 17% target share guy on a run first team. Like it's promising that they're giving him some shorter targets. His ADOT is down to 9.13 this year. But the Ravens spread it around and they run the ball too much. Like it's only going to get worse when Isaiah Likely comes back from injury. So I would kind of stay away from him without some sort of injury to any of the top pass catchers in this offense. Xavier Legette, worry rating 10 out of 10. Like he looks legit like the worst receiver in the league. If you can get anything for him in Dynasty, do it. This guy just ain't it. Like check out this tweet by @BrosifSZN. Bryce Young when targeting Legette in week 2. 1 for 8 passing, -2 yards, 1 interception. When targeting everyone else, 34 for 42 with 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's now been targeted 15 times. He has 8 yards. Like he's likely to get benched soon. He definitely will be when Jalen Coker gets back. He's just not rosterable. Darnell Mooney, worry rating 2 out of 10. It's really the same thing as London. It was a weird game script that won't happen often for them, I don't think. Mooney was also just returning from injury. I expect him to be a nice flex play as soon as week 3 against Carolina. Demario Douglas, worry rating 10 out of 10. So, yeah, Douglas had a 25% snap share in week 2. Like, the Patriots want to play Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins, and Steph Diggs, so he can safely be dropped. Juju Smith-Schuster, worry rating 5 out of 10. You probably shouldn't have been relying on Juju anyway against an elite defense. Like Tyquan Thornton actually outsnapped him and out-targeted him. I would add Thornton over him if Worthy is still out in week 3. Like Juju is going to be a borderline flex play only in PPR if Worthy's out. And I mean, not playable if Worthy's in there. Like just please don't do that to yourself. You're better than that. I believe in you. Keon Coleman, worry rating 5 out of 10. So it was a scary snap share for Buffalo. Coleman was on the field for 51% of snaps with Elijah Moore and Tyrell Shavers getting into the mix. Like, that was probably just because of game script, but Coleman will still be very boom bust this year because if the Bills can just run the ball, they're going to be doing that a lot. Like add in Allen scrambles, and there will be some games that feel like the Ravens with few passing attempts to go around, and they have even more receivers than the Ravens that they spread the ball around to. Like that very same thing could happen against the Dolphins in week 3. Calvin Austin, worry rating 2 out of 10. So he shouldn't be a player you heavily rely on anyway, but I was actually pretty encouraged by his usage. Like he had the most snaps among Steelers receivers and the same amount of targets as DK Metcalf. Like he'll be a middling flex play most weeks because they heavily target tight ends and running backs in this offense. They accounted for 18 of Rodgers' 33 targets this week. Hunter Henry, worry rating 2 out of 10. So he was never going to be a high-end tight end option, and every single one of the tight ends outside of the 3 elite options will just have some dud games. Like he still had nice peripherals, he had an 85% snap share, but the Patriots only ran 55 plays and only passed the ball 23 times. Like better days are ahead. He'll be fine. Brenton Strange, worry rating 3 out of 10. So it is a little bit of a concern that they're featuring players like De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington, but Strange was still at a 90% snap share, which is elite. Like he won't ever be an every week starter just due to all the receiving talent they have, but I mean he could be a nice bye week fill-in with this sort of usage. Mark Andrews, worry rating 9 out of 10. So, I mean, he's running enough routes, but has just an 8.5% target share, and his ADOT is 2.5 yards. Like, Zay Flowers is just the new focal point for this passing game. Andrews will be ranked outside the top 12 in week 3 against Detroit. TJ Hawkinson, worry rating 6 out of 10. So I'm not quite as worried about Hawkinson, but we have no idea if Carson Wentz can even be competent for up to a month. JJ McCarthy hasn't elicited any confidence, and Jordan Addison comes back after next week just to muck things up even further. Like he's still running enough routes and has a workable 17% target share, but with all these questions, he's now just a low-end tight end 1, and will definitely have some dud games. Colston Loveland, worry rating 7 out of 10. This Bears team is just a mess. Like, Loveland is completely off fantasy radars for now. He's working behind Cole Kmet and has less than a 5% target share. Like, if they keep struggling, you'd think he would get more run later in the season. So I guess I'd keep an eye on him, but keep him on waivers for now. Sam Laporta, worry rating 4 out of 10. It's a little worrisome that he only managed 3 catches and 26 yards when the Lions put up a 50-burger. I mean, but he still runs a ton of routes and has almost a 20% target share on the year. Like, he's a mid tight end 1 who will have the occasional bust game just because the Lions have so many weapons. All right, the Bills are officially 11.5-point favorites in this scintillating game versus the Dolphins on Thursday night. What a stinker. Let's quickly run through this so you and I don't fall asleep.
Every game, every player, every week, let's tap in!
The Bills seem more determined than ever to run the ball when they're up, and that does not bode well for Allen in this game. Like, he scored 11.8 points last week in their blowout win because they leaned heavily on James Cook in the run game. Like, he has a huge range of outcomes in this one. If the Dolphins decide to look halfway competent on offense, like in parts of week 2, then Allen could turn it on against this listless Dolphins defense. If not, it could be another 11.5-point stinker while they rush for 200 yards. So James Cook has looked like a dreadlocked man on a mission so far. He's one of the leaders in rushing yards over expected this year, and the Dolphins can't stop a toddler with a juice box. So Cook is about to make their front seven look like traffic cones. He's a must start everywhere. As for the receivers, it's tough to trust any of them with how run heavy the team can be and just the way they spread it around, but you're really hoping for just some early passing success before it gets out of hand. So Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Joshua Palmer will all be ranked pretty similarly as low-end flex plays. Like, you just don't know which one will ultimately have the touchdown because they all have similar routes run and similar target shares. I'll have Keon Coleman the highest, but I mean, it's anybody's guess. Like, they'll all be boom bust this year, and whenever you start one, you'll probably guess wrong. Dalton Kincaid is kind of dealing with just the same circumstances, except he plays about 50% of snaps. Like, that's not enough to be trusted in fantasy, so I would stay away if at all possible. He's really just a tight end streamer, and unless you're the George Kittle owner or something like that, I would just stay away if at all possible. As for Miami, Tua at least had a passable stat line last week, but I mean, this offense still only scored 20 points. Like, Tua was sacked 5 times, he threw a pick, and the Dolphins had 52 plays. That's very low. Like, their defense can't get off the field, so teams can just choke the game out with long drives and running the ball. Like, check out this graphic by @PFF_Moo. It shows what happens each drop back when pressured. So the Cowboys and Dak Prescott get a throw off 83% of the time when pressured. That's easily the highest in the league. Tua, meanwhile, gets sacked 42% of times when under pressure. That's easily highest in the league and just keeps them from being a consistent offense. Like, the Bills pressure QBs at around the 6th highest rate in the league and have the 2nd highest sack percentage. That's not a good combination for Tua. He probably shouldn't be started even in 2 QB leagues this week. So Devon Achane is really the only player that can be trusted on this offense. He has elite usage and was up at 93% snap share in week 2 and led the team with 10 targets. Like, he's an every week starter no matter what. The pass catchers, they looked a little better in week 2. It's probably going to be a trailing game script for most of this game, so expect a ton of passes. Like, that makes Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle pretty nice fantasy plays. Like, with no more Jonnu Smith mucking up the target share, it's super concentrated between Hill, Waddle, and Achane, with just a few others sprinkled in with a target or two. Like, Hill should be started everywhere, and Waddle is a flex play you can feel good about. All right, that's all for this one. If you're still listening, you might as well leave a review. Consider it good karma for the fantasy gods. All right, I hope you got something useful out of this analysis. If you liked what you heard, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the show find other degenerates like you. Hit me up on X at LG_fantasy. Thanks for tapping in, and until next time, happy pours, happy scores.